Being a complexity scientist, I like to study nature and see how I can apply it to business. And I was reading about cowbird. It was pretty funny. What it does is a cowbird will outsource its egg to a finch nest. And you could say the bird is smart enough to outsource what it knows to someone else. And then I started thinking about the concept of outsource what you don't know to someone else. And I'm not so sure I like that. I think a better approach or better way of thinking about startups or businesses is to outsource what you know to someone else. And now there's two key components to that. You can outsource internally. So if you, for instance, know marketing, or if you know sales, business development, or engineering, whatever, the logical thing for you to do is outsource your knowledge by bringing somebody else in that's as good as you. Hopefully you want to bring somebody that's actually better than you. The principle I learned from Ross Perot. And so by bringing those functions or extending those functions that you know to someone else, you can actually increase the speed of your business or your startup. The other way to outsource, and I've done this too myself, successfully and unsuccessfully, I will say that, is to outsource what you know to an outside organization. Now, of course, there's a lot of parameters and variables that play out when you're outsourcing some of the functions or processes of your business to an outside organization. One of the key things you want to look at is think about whatever you're outsourcing that you know, whether it's really important to your startup. And if the process is very important to your startup, then I don't encourage outsourcing what you know outside of the organization. Then a better approach would be is to find the founders that are willing to come and become part of a startup, or if you're a growing business, hire the kind of people that have the knowledge, that are much better than you, and bring them inside. And so that's one of the things you want to look at, is because I can tell you from my own personal experiences when I outsourced some of the functions, and one of the functions that we outsourced before was the engineering component of building a platform, and I can tell you it was a mess. We outsourced it outside of the country at first, and even though initially you save money, but when you look at the total cost of the time component, the communication, the miscommunication, suddenly the cost of saving 50% doesn't end up being that way. So those kind of situations end up being costly. The other thing we did was we also outsourced the technology development in one startup to a company in America, and they were pretty close by. But even there, the problem is that you're paying for the outsourcing, and of course that company's doing a good job for you, but they're keeping the internal knowledge of that function for themselves. So even though you're getting all the services and all the value add for your own startup, but if that function ends up being very important, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So what you want to do is when you look at any type of a process, you want to look at it, like I said, as a function of internal, external. And I'm a big proponent of, if it's a startup and you're developing a product, you should keep the internal development as much as you can within the organization. So you have to go the route of looking for the right co-founders to join you, or looking for the right people to join you, and you pay them. There you go. Outsource what you know.